Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Kammer, and this week, special episode, because I can't get through that intro either, as you'll see in a moment. I sit down with the Pretty Hate Machine, the unofficial leader of the Cursed, Connor Hopkins. Connor has been tearing it up in the Midwest here, going up and down the state of Illinois, up a little bit through Iowa, going to Minnesota, going through Wisconsin to Indiana, all that sort of good stuff too. But really, like, he is starting a plan of domination in Dreamwave wrestling with the Cursed, and is kind of spreading a wee bit over to ZOWA, which he had one of the most innovative Royal Rumble style battle royal wins I think I'd ever seen as a fan, and we have to touch on that because y'all know how much I love me a battle royal. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. So let's go ahead and get a pause for the cause so we can take this interview uninterrupted. So get yourself an energy drink, get yourself a bag of coffee, maybe even a coffee machine, and we'll be back 1 minute with Connor Hopkins. Hey folks, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top-of-the-line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we're back, Confusion Wrestling Podcast. As I said at the top of the show, very special guest sitting in the studio with me today. He is the... Man, now I'm blanking on all the cool nicknames. The Pretty Hate Machine, because I was getting mixed up because I want to throw down that you're the Pretty Hate Machine. You're practically running Dreamwave right now, and the uncrowned champion, depending on who you're, which authority figure we're talking about, the uncrowned champion of ZOWA Live. He is Connor Hopkins.
A breaking development, that last one. They're saying that there's some legal issues, that they're not going to recognize my title reign. Listen, I played the rules. I played the game fair and square. I don't understand why I'm being punished. And also, you are right, Rob. I do have a ton of really cool nicknames, but the important one right now is the Pretty Hate Machine. So you did nail that one.
I knew that one was the most recent, and then just the old age set in. So that's I'm not gonna remember my guest names, but I'm gonna remember the stupid stuff. How I wanted to segue the ZOWA stuff, ZOWA to start kind of things off, because in addition to all the drama that's going on around the title right now, I wanted to talk about how you got that opportunity to get the championship, because that is one of the more unique endings to a match I have ever seen, and I wanted to put it up on the message board, but I couldn't remember who the person is that's been pitching that idea for years. But at the ZOWA Rumble, because now I'm blanking on that one too. Hot Ticket Rumble, I believe.
The Hot Shot Rumble.
Shot Rumble. There we go. I act like I've done research, and I've done just enough to scramble everything in my head again. But you came out last after literally everybody else eliminated themselves, and just showed up and just by sheer greatness won.
Exactly. Sheer greatness is the way to describe that. Yeah, I don't know. You never see that happen in a Rumble. And I feel like statistically, logically, it was bound to happen at some point, right? It just so happened to be in my favor. Which, you know what, when fate delivers you an omen like that, you don't question it, right? You take it in stride. And I was very happy to win the ZOWA Live Hot Shot Rumble from the number 30 spot without even having to take off my warm-ups. I was about to hit the ring when I realized that there was a good chance that everyone in the ring was about to not be anymore. And yeah, I stayed in my shorts.
Yeah, I was there for that live, and it was just crazy go nuts just see that. And like I saw them on the apron ropes area. I'm like, oh no, are they going to dump before everyone's in? Is this going to be like a greatest battle royal finish of all time?
Now, I'm not saying I'm the smartest man in professional wrestling, you know, because how do you dictate such a thing? However, I am saying that I have a claim to it. My boy Stephen Wolf doing some dirty work for me. I'll give him a shout out.
Well, and we'll touch on him later because I do want to talk about the cursed as well. But I just wanted to really hit the what's going on in ZOWA because that's fresh and in this case of the Hot Shot Rumble, very unique. Just to be able to just to stroll right in and claim victory. As you said, you didn't even take your warm ups
Yeah,
off. You just showed up, bell rings, title shot, and dare I say, like it was very handy as well since the Hot Shot Rumble that it's the main event. You don't get to wait till next month to do it. It's not a Money in the Bank where you can cash in whenever or wait till Zawa's version of WrestleMania. Like you had to cash in and have that
yeah,
match that night. So
that
that was
night.
even a bigger boon to you.
Absolutely. It's almost like one could say, yeah, maybe we drew it up that way. Maybe me and Steven, helped each other out just a little bit. Who's to say? Who's to say, really? But you know what the important thing is I am now your interim ZOWA Live champion, which, just adds another thing to my cage match. So that's all right by me.
There you go. And you've been on the top of that mountain before, so this is not unfamiliar territory for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was 5 years ago that I held the ZOWA Live championship last, and I feel like I am 5 times the wrestler that I was then. So yeah, it's about time that the ZOWA Live championship came home, with the first class of ZOWA Live.
5 years, man, it doesn't seem that long. But then time means nothing anymore in like this post-pandemic world. I,
Right?
I just shout numbers, and it happens to be the right number, and doesn't mean anything to me. So with this reign, since it's been 5 years, does this reign like have any more significance to you?
Well, I think the most significant thing is getting to say that I took the title from Hunter Holdcraft, which is great because young kid has a lot of upside. Looks great. I mean, look at him. So how much of a professional? How good must I be? To claim that I took the title off of him. I must be pretty good then, right? That's the thing that's really significant to me is he's no slouch, and I am the champion now. Now, some people would say, well, Connor, you didn't really beat him, which I think is a load of BS. The same as everyone saying that I bribed the commissioner to get the match in the first place. That's also not true. I don't know if you know this. That's patently false. I'd like to get on here and get ahead of all those comments before they start rolling in.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Shane Show may be a controversial figure, but he's never been on the take. He's no Jack Tunney, and he's not going
Exactly.
to like besmirch like his first real decision by taking bribes right away. Like you got to settle in first before you even think about doing that.
Exactly. Listen, he's the most Connorable guy that I know. He abides by the code of Connor big time.
But I do think you're correct in putting over Hunter because he'd been on a tear in ZOWA. Well, until you came and stopped him, of course. But he took out what looked to be an unstoppable Christian Rose, and Christian Rose is no even as his career progresses, he's still no slouch in the ring. He's still a dangerous competitor. I mean, you know that firsthand, having a storied history with him both on both sides of the ring. Um, and he and Holdcraft, put an end to Rose's reign and has really kind of been, a fighting champion through all this.
Yeah, listen, yeah, they're both great wrestlers. But again, I beat both of them. So like, who's really the better man? I Christian Rose, yeah, he's a tough old bird, but like, he's human. He can be beat. I do it frequently. In fact, he's never beaten me in one-on-one competition, as far as I can remember. So, I'll just throw that out there as well. But Hunter, like, sure, okay, he has one fluke pin over me, but I was in the ropes, and also, like, that was just, again, a fluke. It was a flash in the pan, oh, cool, a quick roll up, awesome. You beat me. Congrats, Hunter. You're so great. I'm the champion though. Like we all know that I should be the champion. It's what's best for business. So yeah, that's just how it has to be. Unfortunately, that's just the way that some of these things in life are, Rob. That's just how life goes for guys like me, right?
Yeah. People like to throw obstacles on in front of people that either a they don't like, or just that they don't understand how the cream should rise to the top organically.
Exactly.
I don't know how to tell anyone to do their jobs, because Lord knows. I mean, okay, that's a lie. I know how to tell plenty of people, how to do their jobs, because I'm a neckbeard on the internet with a microphone. But I don't technically have the ears of the important people to be like, dude, what are you doing? I mean, because really, don't get me started on the whole interim title thing. Like, I hate it when other sports do it. I hate seeing it in the realm of professional wrestling too. You either have a champion or you don't. So I don't even like calling you an interim champ for ZOWA.
I agree. We should just not even bother with the interim thing, and we should just call me the lineal, the straight up, the undisputed ZOWA Live champion. I completely concur with you there, Rob.
Because you either defend the title or you don't. And I mean, despite us saying how great of an athlete Hunter Holdcraft was, like he got himself suspended.
He's got a bit of an attitude problem. Yeah, he got suspended. I listened. Completely warranted by Commissioner Show, mind you, accusing him of bribery. Like, really, you can't be the face of the company and going around questioning the leadership of the company. It's just a bad look. And of course, he got suspended for it. And frankly, I'm surprised that the punishment wasn't more severe.
Yeah, like 1 month is kind of a slap on the wrist, really.
Yeah,
Like when you think about it, especially because he's not been, we'll call it, truly stripped of the title, since they're calling you interim champ in the meanwhile.
yeah, exactly. Like, he got off easy. I could have had him fired, or he could have been fired. I mean, uh, if the office were to have seen fit. But I
Uh,
have to beat him first.
well, there you go. And I was just gonna throw out the other that I blame Christian Rose for this, because he got a taste of blood with that last match against Christian, and now he just thinks he can come in and I don't know, be the biggest bully in ZOWA, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. What a jerk! What a jerk that guy is.
But it was said, Cream's going to rise to the top, and not only are you killing it in ZOWA, you are also practically running things, given recent events over in Dreamwave Wrestling with your fellow Cursed members. You guys had a big victory at the last show with the Team Dreamwave versus the Curse. So, like, I guess how I want to phrase this is kind of like, how did that kind of come together for you guys? And like, do you have any immediate plans for your continue, or at least concrete plans for your immediate takeover of Dreamwave?
So, the curse is a funny thing because it's kind of been there all along. People just haven't realized it. I like those damn coyotes was spawned, out of, we're kind of the disciples of Christian Rose. But, as I started kind of making my own path and my own name in wrestling, there's a lot of people that I come across that I realize are much more similar to me and my worldview than I might have, otherwise considered. And I think that there's a lot of people in that Dreamwave locker room who are a bit resentful of their station in life, of their station in wrestling, and feel as though they are destined for greater things, which is exactly how I view myself. So yeah, the curse came to be simply because we're a group of like-minded individuals. We find ourselves to be cursed with greatness. It's the curse of the good hand. The guy who's always going to be there, who's always going to be better than your favorite wrestler, but just for whatever reason can't seem to get noticed because they're not a big player on social media. They aren't the most aesthetically attractive. We're not on TV. We don't look like that. Whatever. Like, we're the outcasts, and that doesn't really matter to us, because we show that collectively you can just take what you want by force. What I want is my Dreamwave title back. That's what really this is all about. I want the Dreamwave championship back from Channing Thomas. I want it more than really I want to continue breathing, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm the first person to ever pin Channing Thomas in a Dreamwave wrestling ring. So, you tell me what the future has in store, Rob. I mean, looks pretty obvious to me that the gold is coming back home. And then from there, well, I won't stop until everything is mine. I'm going to poison and control Dreamwave Wrestling and change it into something in my own image. Does that sound agreeable to someone like yourself, Rob?
Absolutely, and I think especially in the short term, I mean, if you've got a pinfall victory over the current champ, I mean that should put you, if not the top of the line, no, number 2 at worst. And that's just because, sometimes we got to go in order of things. But that could be a whole nother, argument of semantics. The important thing is that even if you're number 2, you can take out the number 1, like that. Like let's be
Pretty
real
easily.
about it. Yeah. And I do think it's interesting, looking at the cursed, because it does seem to be a gathering of individuals. You talked about kind of like overlooked, the outcasts, and I definitely see that within the group, because I not that there's any member that's lesser than the other, but I look at like Stephen Wolf, who's been like a very like he's so well kept of a secret. Like he's like 3 layers below like the best kept secret, especially in the Midwestern like wrestling scene. Like I've been watching that dude for like a solid decade. Like
Stephen Wolf has been one of the best all-around talents on the independents for the better part of like 10 years now, and it is criminal that he can't get looked at because of whatever reason.
yeah,
It's frankly insane to me that you have this guy who's been around since OG Dreamwave can hang, not just hang, but like really take it to guys like Mustafa Ali, like Alex Shelley, like Io Del Vikingo. Like Stephen Wolf has had a tremendous career, and nobody seems to recognize that at Dreamwave. Like no one seems to present him as the actual bona fide legend that he is in LaSalle specifically. But I mean, indie wrestling as a whole, like, yeah, again, talk about overlooked. Like Stephen Wolf is a prime example of that.
because he's even left the area and killed it down south for a bit too before making his, we'll call it, triumphant return to Dreamwave and
His
the
way
general
home.
area. Yeah, come back home, and it just like blows my mind. Like I've seen his name like pop up places. I'm like, what's he doing there? Like, no offense intended, but like he should be doing bigger. Yeah, he should be doing insert regions version of Dreamwave, whom I consider like the preeminent indie for several, for a good chunk of the Midwest. What's he, doing at, I don't dare I use the word shindy in Texas, when like dude has been the main event in Dreamwave and elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, he's a world traveled talent. He has made championships into world championships, and I think that's the ultimate test of the credibility of a professional wrestler. Like been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and yeah, like I could go on and on about Steven for days. He's my brother. Like we're that close, and it makes me immensely happy that he is up here with us now, back in the Valley, because I think he has so much more to give to this scene than I think even he realizes. Yeah, he's an invaluable asset up here in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, he's worked everyone, and like, and I again really meant when I said like Dreamwave's probably like the preeminent like Midwest independent promotion. Like, yeah, Chicago's got a couple of good ones, but really like once you get outside of Chicago, there's not quite like maybe AIW out in Ohio, but like really no one's really bringing in like the talent Dreamwave is, both homegrown and importing the best from the world of independent wrestling.
I'm very proud of the work that Dreamwave is doing. However, I don't, like I think that we do really great work, but I think that there are a lot of companies around the Midwest who
Oh
are
yeah.
doing a lot of really good stuff. Like you mentioned, AIW has a killer product. First Wrestling up in Minnesota has an
Oh, of
amazing
course.
product. Like, there are people all over the Midwest that I just don't think maybe have the notoriety, or well, no, like because they do have the
I
notoriety.
don't
I
know.
would say,
First Wrestling's gotten some headlines,
yeah,
especially with the mall shows.
yeah, and like yeah, that crew up there is incredible. Like they do great stuff. I think that like on the whole, I don't think Midwest indies get the credit or the reputation that they deserve, because wrestling has always been alive and very well in the Midwest, and people just seem to sleep on it constantly. It is my cross to bear, for lack of a better phrase. Like Midwest independent wrestling is is such a strong scene. It just is so spread out that people don't
Yeah.
realize how like incredible it really is.
Yeah, I think that's something I don't want to say it's held back because if you're in the know and you're willing to make the drives at times, like there's so much good stuff and like I as much wrestling I go attend live, like there's so much I miss just because I'm like I really don't want to drive 3 hours to go to a show and
Yeah.
no offense intended to anybody who does or anything. It's just I'm old and lazy at this stage of my life and sitting that long in a car sometimes is rattles
Yeah.
up the old bones because I am nowhere near the shape that someone like you are and I've gotten probably at least 15 years on you too.
And it's just like that is truly a bummer because like you look out at some other scenes and there's so much great wrestling that's so close together. So you have a really great, cohesive scene. And it's like, man, if you wanted to do first wrestling and say a Dreamwave, like you have to drive 6 hours
Yeah.
from one to the other. And like it just that's what I really think makes the Midwest scene so difficult, to get nowhere. But like you look at some of the talents now that are popping off from the Midwest, like Laney Luck is the WWID Women's Champion. Bang and Matthews are the IWTV Tag Team Champions. Like you look at all Maggie Lee is
Yeah.
blowing up exactly like I thought she would. You look at all of these amazingly talented people who like are Midwest born and bred, homegrown, whatever you want to call it. And like, yeah, for some of them, like truly they do get to show how good they are, and they do get seen. But there's a lot of people on the indies that just, I don't think will ever get the recognition that they deserve for how good they are. Just by sheer virtue of like, this is the scene that they happen to be in.
Yeah, and I've never like, especially when it comes to like some of the larger promotions that do tour nationally. I'm not going to throw any specific one under the bus, but I look at some folks and I've championed, and he's already come up a handful of times in this conversation. But like Christian Rose is so damn good. And like I've never, and like I don't pry into people's personal lives. Like if they're okay, if they're on the podcast, I poke a little bit. But yeah, I don't I don't like stare at some wrestling version of the Rag Mags or like poke at a person's DMs and go like, dude, why aren't you being seen in and nowadays GCW or even getting looks from AEW, WWE or whatever? Because like in the case of Christian, like if he wants to be loved, he's going to be loved. If he wants you to hate him, he's going to be hated. But he's going to have like arguably like one of the best matches on the card, if not the best match on the card, getting whatever reaction that's desired from him. And he's always just been basically travel, did a loop through Iowa, through Chicago, and back and forth for a vast majority of his career. It's crazy, go nuts to me.
That's just Rose traveled a bit in his younger years, but that's just kind of you look at too, like that's just some different people's goals and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But like I learned a ton from Rose, and I traveled a bunch with him, especially in my early years. Kansas City, Omaha. He's been up to Minnesota with me. We've been around a little bit, but yeah, man, Rose is one of those people that like, as much as I hate his guts, like he taught me everything that I know, and I wouldn't be half the wrestler that I am if I wasn't trained by him.
Yeah, and as I said, like I feel like that's kind of a crime that he's not gotten bigger looks. But then again, maybe the reason isn't outside factors. Maybe they're internal factors. I hear stories of certain people who are just like, I like where I'm at life. Like I like doing these smaller tours, or I shouldn't say tours, but like the smaller towns, smaller companies, like whatever. Like I always hear, again, nerd on the message boards, Hollow Wicked was an example of like he should have blown up. He's the greatest wrestler out of Chikara, and then like the rumor mill says he's got like a really thoroughly bitchin' day job, and so he doesn't, despite being that good and committing so much to wrestling, he doesn't want to drop everything to go take the chance that Lord only knows could be taken away from him tomorrow when he's got the security right there. And there's no right, and I'm going to definitely preface this, but there's no right or wrong answer how to live your life based on your dreams or what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
But going back to you, because we just I don't know, spent like 10 minutes talking about other people when you're supposed to be the guest of honor. Though we heavily put you over at the beginning, and we'll continue to do so, of course. But as you said, you wouldn't be the wrestler you are today without Christian Rose, and you travel the roads. Like, what was it like, being under his wing for so long? Because even like he had a hand in training you. You were part of the Coyotes together, and then you've now had to clash in various forms over the last handful of years.
So yeah, I would credit Rose as my trainer probably more than many other people. I mean, I kind of had a hand from a lot of people, but Rose was the one who I think, learned the actual. I actually learned wrestling from. Uh, I mean, it's always fun traveling with Rose. Like it's always fun. That's the reason why the Coyotes were born, because it was the four of us who were traveling to shows together anyways, and we just liked hanging out with each other, and we liked to fight, and we all like to fight in the same style. So it was like, yeah, it just made sense. Um, yeah, man. I just traveling with Rose, especially in those like earlier years of my career. I'm going on year 8 now or whatever. Uh, it was a lot of eye opening experiences for me. I lived a lot of life, even just traveling throughout the Midwest, which I think is something that like a lot of indie wrestlers can relate to, especially like everyone I think should have a vet, like everyone needs to have that older guy in their corner helping them out, showing them the road, showing them the ropes, showing them, how to do the business. Because you meet a lot of people who don't have that tutelage, and it shows. You kind of need somebody who's at least been some of the places, done some of the things, and who at least knows, some of their stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I learned a lot from traveling with Rose. Probably the most from traveling with him.
And I definitely think it shows, especially with the run of success you've had in the area. I mean, it's that cannot be understated enough. And like I don't know the roads you travel with or who you travel with, but like at least in ring, I do see you taking on like kind of a similar role again, bringing it back to the Cursed. Like we talked about Stephen Wolf, but you've also taken Amina Belmont under your wing as well. Going from kind of just floating around to having some, I don't want to say purpose necessarily, but like it's given her kind of a more of a like singular goal to attain to since coming
Yeah,
in with you.
I would call it purpose. I would say that she has been crushing it in Uprising and just hasn't had any sort of way to, I don't know, manifest success. She has everyone says, it takes good luck to make it in the wrestling biz. And all that good luck is proper preparation and the right opportunity. And Amina Belmont is prepared. She's very prepared. She can hang with anyone and beat anyone. She's a killer in the ring. Like, she's incredible. There's a reason why I specifically asked to find her. I asked my recruiter, Damien Deschain, I said, listen, we need Amina Belmont. We need her. Because she has something that no one else has. She has it. I don't know how you describe it, but like, yeah, again, criminally underrated, I think Amina Belmont is. And she has been showing herself at every Uprising show that she's been on, and has only ever been getting better, and has been traveling all over. Like, again, the common theme here is hidden gems, if you want to call it that, all scattered throughout the Dreamwave roster. Plucked from obscurity. And not even obscurity, because like, again, she's been doing just fine for herself, but like, yeah, she had no purpose. That's what I seek to do with the Curse. I seek to give purpose.
I've watched her from the very beginning. Like I've watched her before she had real gear, even do wrestling in wedding halls, until she chose to, rightfully so, spread her wings and fly, hitting those towns. And I am very impressed how quickly she's improved just in the relatively short span of her career. Like, it's crazy go nuts, and now you've hand chosen her to be part of this group, and so like I mean, even bigger things have to be coming her way because let's be real, at this point we have to have our eyes on the curse if we're watching, well, Dreamwave obviously, but if you're watching especially the Illinois Independents, like you got to keep your eyes on this.
Mm-hmm. That was the goal. The whole idea behind the curse was to show everyone what a revolution can look like. What can happen when you get people together and unite them under a cause that's not just themselves. You know, the sum is the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's kind of how you could describe the curse.
Well, and compared to some other groupings we've seen in more recent years, like you guys really seem to have your back and travel in a pack, like at least when it comes to the in-ring action, and that has to throw everybody else like off their game. Not only because they're in the ring with legitimately great talents. In your case, the greatest talent, obviously. But you have that pack mentality there that any sort of wounded animal has to be you know wary of when they're in the ring with you guys.
I took the lessons that I learned from Christian Rose and from those damn coyotes, and I simply put my own little twist on it. Establishing myself as sort of the figurehead of this group. There are ways in which we operated as the Coyotes that I found to be a little bit outdated, and I think that in 2026, the way to actually achieve dominance in a wrestling promotion is you have to be of one mind on every aspect of professional wrestling, and that's why you're going to see all of us working in tandem together. It may look like I'm directing the show, which, a little bit I am, but it's four parts working as one. That's the whole. That is the only reason why the curse works is because we are so unified.
That's exactly like what you need to do to get ahead. Wrestling, like a lot of fields, it will chew you up and spit you out if you don't have someone working with you. And if you got someone, or in your case, three other folks who are willing to watch each other's back and take things to the next level, you got something going on there. It's harder to be swallowed when there's four of you, clogging the throat, if you will.
And with the recent addition, or well, whatever is going on with Brittany Brooks, a genuine surprise at the last Dreamwave show. I had no idea. I was about ready to try and stab her through a steel chair with the spike to get to Bobby Orlando myself. I mean, I already eliminated her. I didn't really view her as a threat. And then she did my dirty work for me. So, like, I don't know. Pretty cool, if you ask me. I'm just saying.
We'll hear about that soon enough, where her interests are lying. But just the fact that, like, even if she's not a formal member of the group, like she is a powerful ally to have. Well, because she's back and forth and everywhere in between. Like arguably one of the top women's wrestlers in the independent scene right now.
And for better or worse, she is kind of the face of Uprising. And so that's got to sting. That really has to hurt management that someone agrees with my message, that things aren't quite right here and that we need to get together and do something about it. I think that rattles everyone just a little bit, that the cracks in the foundation are beginning to show. I think they're scared. And that's exactly where I want them to be. It's fun. This is fun. This is the fun part of wrestling.
When we bring up Uprising, like that's been kind of an area that I obviously has grown exponentially like since day one, but like you are now finally kind of getting your fingers into that as well, because Amina definitely had a killer showing at the last Uprising event, both in the Rumble and then her match with Notorious Mimi as well. Like you got yourself you are broadening the scales, or not the scales, the scope, there we go, of this revolution. And I'm very curious to see how this solidifies and grows from there. Are there any plans of taking this outside of the Dreamwave and Uprising area at this point?
I think the one thing that people tend to struggle with is they want to expand and they want to get greedy too soon. Once you have a firm foothold in Dreamwave, I've been inspecting Uprising, I've been circling, I have been, planning this for some time now, and you stick your fingers towards Uprising. You get your hand in Uprising, and then maybe you see what's going on in the area outside of that, and then maybe you see what your contacts have going on, and you establish a foothold nearby. But the thing about growth is, if it happens too fast, people notice, and then they try to stop it. But if it's slow and it is consistent and it is unchanging, it goes unquestioned until it's too late, which is exactly what happened at Dreamwave.
Have you been playing Plague Inc? Because that is like the exact like way you play that game.
I mean, I don't appreciate being called a disease. However, it's a similar mindset and it works.
Now, the point of that game is to commit global annihilation of the human race through the spread of disease, and so you manage a disease throughout its stages, and so you have to balance things like how lethal it is with with how easy is it spreadable, etc. So and the best way to play that game is to fly under the radar as long as you can, infecting things here and there, getting the tendrils in. Then when you get enough folks, or in this case enough of the global population, then you start focusing on being lethal and knock down those dominoes one at a time.
I don't know. Sounds like a pretty good game plan to me. Who's to say, whether or not that's exactly what I'm looking to do at Dreamwave Wrestling? Who's to say I haven't done it already?
And even if they're not, again, and with Brittany Brooks, even if they're not official members, obviously you've won people over, at least indirectly, to your side, or at least
changing hearts and minds. Rob, that's what we're doing. Changing hearts and minds.
I would say one person at a time, but it sounds like there's more dominoes that are wobbling that we don't see at the moment.
I don't know. Who's to say?
We'll have to show up at Dreamwave.
April.
Was it April 11th? Is the next show?
April 11th is
good
anniversary. Yes, I am fighting Channing Thomas for the Dreamwave Championship. It's the rematch that I have been owed the entire time. Never mind what happened in December. Shut up. Miscalculation on my part.
If going with the theme, if you stay completely undefeated and truly dominant, you're going to get eyes on you. And if you get defeated, did they defeat you or did you defeat you?
Precisely. Hey, you're doing my messaging for me, Rob. You get it. You understand.
Sometimes I'm an agent of chaos myself. I'm just not a great mastermind of it. Like I'm the idea guy. Like I'm the little propagandist. Like that's how I view myself. Like I'm going to shoot the ideas out there, and there's someone who's actually better than me can take those ideas and make it what you need.
Yeah, we might have use for you then.
I like to be useful. As I take a sip and create an awkward pause. You stay alive a lot longer that way when you're useful. And I'm not gonna lie, like I need numbers too, because there's always a cowboy lurking over my shoulder that I can't seem to get rid of for whatever reason. Just keeps coming back and does like arm movements that signify lariats and talks about another road, another town, and being a boss of the plains or something of the like. But
being haunted by Manders?
Oh yeah, always. For like 8 years.
Okay.
He is my personal bad penny. Though I keep having to run him off to Germany, so
you're doing a good job because he seems to be there all the time now.
Oh yeah. I guess even like they won't recognize the reign, but I did like temporarily get a hold of the WXW Unified Heavyweight Championship, but No one wants to recognize that reign, even though there's photographic proof of me with the championship. But,
And possession is 9/10 of the law, Rob.
yep. Well, you got it back though, so but again, there should be an asterisk right there that I broke up that reign. But such is life. It's we get our 15 minutes of fame, and that'll be mine at the end of the day. Hope maybe not. Maybe I'll do better things. Yeah, I like to attach myself to wagons, so and now maybe propagandist for the curse. Boom, new claim to fame.
New claim to fame.
I'm just not gonna lie though. I'm going to find some color coordinated clothing to go along with it, because most of my wardrobe was just straight black, and I've branched out to some light lavender, but I need some pink. I need some pink, and
It's pink.
And I legit don't think I have any pink at this moment, which is sad and scary.
It's very in. It's very in.
Nothing against it, but I'm a usually dark colored kind of guy. It's slimming, and people don't notice the stomach that much. But typical basement dweller am I, despite the fact this is the second floor of the house that I as we go off the rails on this thing and somehow put myself over while burying myself in the process as well.
Pretty good backhanded complimenting of yourself.
No, I'm the best and worst thing going in this household. You hear that, cat? Okay, I'm yelling at the cat now. Let's rein things back in. But yeah, so Channing Thomas, the next target per se, getting the championship back. Again, like comparing it to like your return to form in ZOWA, how do you think this upcoming reign will differ from your previous reigns?
Well, nothing's guaranteed. That's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't know if I can beat Channing Thomas one-on-one. I'll be fully transparent with you. He beat me at my own game in October, and if there's anyone out there who can play that game better than me, it might be him. However, I learned from my defeats. I learned from my mistakes, and I'm not going to make the same mistake a third time. I've proved that he's human, and listen, if people thought that I was obnoxious, if people thought that I was arrogant, if people thought that I was maybe a little bit too commandeering as Dreamwave champion the first time, if I am successful, when I am successful in beating Channing Thomas in April, I'm going to be the most insufferable man you've ever met. I will never let go of that championship. I was 4 days away from being the longest reigning Dreamwave champion of all time. And if you think that I'm going to let a second reign go by and not break some records, no. I'm going for the longest Dreamwave championship reign of all time by double. Okay, I'm going to go, 960 days or whatever with this championship. Okay, you better get used to hearing the name Connor Hopkins, Dreamwave champion. You better get used to hearing that also, and still a lot over the next however many years 960 days is. That's my goal. That's my plan.
There we go. Start small. We're not going full Bruno yet. We'll get the 960 day mark, and then we'll start talking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, 485 first, and then we'll go for 960.
Okay. All right. You just already referenced doubling it being the goal, so I'm jumping to conclusions already.
Oh yeah, one step at a time, though, Rob. One step at a time. All right. Listen. People think that you when you set out to move a mountain, you got to move the whole thing. No, you break it down one rock at a time. One rock at a time. Doesn't matter how big or how small, as long as it goes, as long as it falls.
Well, and continuing the mountain theme, erosion. Erosion is a slow and steady progression that takes down almost everything on God's gray earth, whether it's the mountains, whether it's the plains, whether it's the ice and the tundra. All right, so I should have jumped the pink thing up ahead, but we'll go ahead and wind things down to be respectful for your time. Where can we find you online? Where can we get your merch? And where can we find you in the upcoming weeks?
So yeah, I'll start with where you can find me in the upcoming weeks. I am going to be, quite a few places actually. After Dark Wrestling is March 6th, so that'll be probably after this comes out. But make sure to check out After Dark. The replay, I believe, is going to be up on IWTV. I'm wrestling Badger Briggs at that event, a longtime enemy of mine. So I'm going to put them in the ground for good this time because they're on my home turf. Yeah. Then I'm going to be at House of Heat on March 14th. I'm wrestling Mance Warner.
You got to
He
fight
is
on that
being,
one.
yeah, he's being managed by Steph DeLander. And I just have to say that, Mance, I've got a 9-inch nail waiting for you, and I've got one for your wife, too, if she wants it. Yeah, get at me, bro. So that'll be coming up in March. Check out House of Heat Wrestling in Lafayette, Indiana. Then I'm going to be at Wrestle Arts in Indianapolis, Indiana. That'll be coming up March 28th. I'm wrestling Braden Lee in a 2 out of 3 falls match at Wrestle Arts there. It's been 6 months in the making. I'm going to beat Braden Lee 2 straight. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to go to the cool sandwich shop next door to the Irving Theater in Indianapolis, and I'm going to have a delicious sandwich right after. It's going to be a great time. You can find me all over the internet at Connor Hopkins 98 on Twitter or Instagram. Those are mainly the 2 that I use. I guess I technically use Threads as well. You can also check out my YouTube channel at Connor Hopkins 98. I post full matches there all the time. There's a playlist with like over 60 matches of mine, so go check that out. And you can get my mixtape, Connor Hopkins, presents. One sec, I have a... You can get Hate Never Dies, a Connor Hopkins mixtape, right now at my Linktree. Yeah, Linktree/chopkins98. It's a 6-match collection featuring matches from Dreamwave Wrestling, Time Bomb Pro Wrestling, Destination Pro, a never-before-seen match from Madhouse Wrestling, myself versus Jay Marston, with special guest commentary by Gage Bright and Christian Rose, by the way. You can pre-order the bundle for that at my Linktree. Comes with a shirt, the DVD, obviously, and some other fun goodies as well. But yeah, this is kind of a little look into the birth of the Pretty Hate Machine. Some of my favorite matches from the last year or so. So yeah, support me, check it out, purchase the DVD, merchandise, whatever. I used to use Teespring online for like a direct to garment printing thing, but Teespring kind of sucks. Their quality is trash, and also they're a trash corporation, so I've decided to not use them. I might switch over to another less hellacious, exploitative, capitalist, fear-mongering machine. I've got some recommendations, but yeah, just buy merch in person, pre-order the thing, because that's the best way to do these things now, is pre-ordering, because y'all, it's expensive out there, but we try to provide quality for you. So buy merch from all of your favorite pro wrestlers. There's my plug spiel. Follow Dreamwave Wrestling, follow Wrestle Arts, follow House of Heat, follow Madhouse Wrestling and Time Bomb Pro. And
Connor, thank you for coming on and, talking about, all the places we've wandered throughout this here conversation, whether it was the Cursed, the Coyotes, ZOWA, Dreamwave, Teespring, all that sort of good stuff. And you've got a very interesting batch of matches coming up, so I am excited to see all those, whether in person or on IWTV.
Yeah, March is going to be a really fun month for your boy. I've got some special stuff coming up too that people don't know about yet, but going to be pretty cool, especially if you're an old IWA Mid-South fan like I am. Some pretty cool shit.
Oh, now we're talking my wrestling love language.
Yeah, no spoilies though. No spoilies. You got to wait and see.
Dag. But thank you for coming on. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Rob.
The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, That's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the description below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.